I think it goes without saying that we all of us here are convinced by the need for interdisciplinarity and transdisciplinarity. And that's one of the reasons that we set up the Centre for Climate and Environmental Resilience here at Newcastle University, probably almost 5 years ago now. So, we've been going for quite a long time. And the idea behind this was to actually collaborate across disciplines. So this interdisciplinary way of thinking and co-create knowledge that way, but also to work with people outside academia as well. And I think that's a really important thing here. So that's when I'm talking about the term transdisciplinary, thinking about actually co-creating that knowledge and understanding and changes to policy and practice as well, and solutions for real world problems with industry, with decision makers, with others out there in the real world, that we don't just sit in our ivory towers. And I think that climate change, and I've worked on climate change as a problem, and it's a wicked problem because it doesn't have just one solution. And to get to a solution, we actually need to engage with lots of people, lots of diverse voices, right? And that goes all the way from scientists all the way down to those local communities, actually, that are feeling the impacts of climate change, both here in the UK and in the rest of the world. And obviously the effects of climate change have been felt very, very severely in some parts of the world already. We can see it actually happening outside the, well, tomorrow, you'll definitely see it happening. It's going to be 29 degrees in Newcastle tomorrow. And for those of you not from Newcastle, that's really very unusual as a temperature in June. We're seeing these very severe weather events now. We're seeing very hot weather, very big floods. Climate change is a big issue that's affecting us all, and I've been working on it for about 20 years or more. It's something that we need to work on together to find solutions. And so we need this very much this interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary perspective. And I think it's basically about, it's difficult, right? Working in an interdisciplinary way is really hard. It's not easy. It's about actually being patient, allowing others to actually have opinions and even different ways of expressing those opinions, and the jargon we use is quite different across disciplines. And actually it's finding that common language to have those discussions that need to be had. And I think, I've worked on this for a very, very long time, but I'm truly of the belief that we're not going to be able to solve these really big issues like climate change unless we actually move into this space and embrace the fact that we need to think much more in a systems way, and we need to basically co-create knowledge together. And that goes all the way from decision makers through academia, I think, all the way to local communities. And particularly thinking about climate adaptation here, but about the need to reduce greenhouse gases as well. So the conference is very much created by Mika here, and very much follows the aims of the centre that I'm one of the co-directors of. And we're aiming in the next couple of days to really think about how can we co-create this knowledge in climate and environmental research, and how can interdisciplinarity help. So we've got a series of talks over the next couple of days, which hopefully will help us to think about some of these issues. How do we actually co-create? How do we work across academia and non-academic spaces? And I suppose most importantly as well, how do we make sure that we value everyone's opinions, and there's not this injustice and this imbalance in actually who is developing what, right? So everybody has an equal share in that co-creation, which I don't think happens at the moment actually, particularly in the sort of scientific-led research projects that I've been involved in. And so what I'm talking about is basically thinking about whose knowledge matters. I do think that natural sciences is still dominating in this space. We see the need now for the inclusion of social scientists, of communities, of other actors in this space, but I don't think they're truly integrated yet. And that needs to happen so that we can actually truly involve them within this co-creation. And I think that, yeah, I mean, this pretty much says the same thing, but we need to basically have this mutual respect across disciplines. We need to find a common language, and we need to basically ultimately change how we actually fund research and how we actually fund knowledge creation, to change the way we do things. Because the problem with academia, and I think the way that historically people have actually gained knowledge through, from being tiny children through to adults, is actually in these silos, right? We increasingly specialise as we get older. Ultimately, to the point that most of us in the room probably have PhDs. We've specialised really, really strongly in one subject area, and then what I'm asking you is to actually kind of not throw that away, but to really think about how your subject can then be combined with other people's subjects to come to solutions. But it's not what we're trained to do. We're actually trained to specialise. We're trained to work in these silos, but we've got to break out of these to really truly be able to work across systems. And I'm really hoping that we can do some of this in this conference.